Hello viewers, welcome back to the channel. Today we're reviewing the 2020 Mercedes-Benz GLC300 4Matic. This GLC300 4Matic is the regular SUV version of the GLC300 Coupe that I reviewed a few days ago. The Mercedes-Benz GLC300 and the 300 Coupe are both available for sale at AKAGERA Motors Rwanda. Check out their website through the link in the video's description, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact them. I'll also include a Google Drive link to this car's brochure so that you can check out in details the equipment and features. The GLC300 and the 300 Coupe are pretty much identical under the skin. First off, they share the same platform and they have the same engine and drivetrain. But the differences are also a handful, and the most noticeable is the sloping roof on the GLC300 Coupe. Other minor differences include a slightly higher tire profile on the GLC300, slightly larger wheels on the Coupe, and also the headlight technology is a bit different. With that out of the way, here's the car's key fob with the lock, unlock and tailgate opening buttons on the front. And on the back we have a button to release the mechanical key that you use in case the key fob is not working. To help you find your car in a dark parking lot, this car is equipped with a feature that turns on several lights on the exterior of the car upon unlocking the car itself. The daytime running lights turn on as well as the tail lights. There are also lights on each side mirror, and all four door handles have little LED lights as well. Also available in this car is Mercedes-Benz Keyless Go Comfort package that enables you to lock and unlock the car without removing the key fob from your pocket or purse. To lock the car, you press the touch-sensitive button on any door handle, and to unlock the car, you just grab the door handle. On the upper half of the driver door panel, you have two speakers and the usual power mirror controls, power door locks, and power window controls. Further below, there is a button to open or close the tailgate and some storage. The two front door sills are also backlit. And as you may expect, the two front seats are power adjustable as well. Inside the GLC300, we'll also find a cool glowing engine start-stop button like the one we saw in the GLC300 Coupe. Press the engine start-stop button once to turn on the accessories and press it the second time to turn on the ignition. Also, as you turn on the accessories, the infotainment screen turns on as well. Please note that as we take a closer look at the infotainment screen, I will kind of summarize everything. Thus, for more information about the infotainment system, please check out the GLC300 Coupe video that I will have linked on screen at the end of this one. Next, I'd like to attract your attention to the ambient lights in this car. They are very nice, and the best part is they are even available in the second row of the car. Now let's go ahead and turn on the headlights and rear fog lights as well as the hazard lights, and take another quick look around the vehicle as we check out the engine bay as well. The electronic parking brake lever is located below the headlight switch. There are LED turn signals on both side mirrors, and both are auto dimming as well as the interior rear view mirror. Up front, there are LED high performance headlights and LED turn signals as well as the high beams. In the engine bay of the GLC300, we'll find a naturally aspirated 2-liter inline 4-cylinder, which is good for 120 horsepower and 110 pound-feet of torque. The four tires on this car are 235 by 65 with 17-inch alloy wheels. Around the back we have more LEDs, tail lights, turn signals, and reverse lights. Now let's take a closer look at the infotainment system in this car, which has about 4 or 5 ways to control it. First and foremost, there is touch input, which is the most obvious. Next, there are 5 shortcut buttons for different menus and screens. Further below in the center control stack, we have a trackpad which also has handwriting capabilities built in. Next, there is another trackpad on the right spoke of the steering wheel. Last and certainly not least, you can use your voice to command different functions. On the home screen, there is a profile button on the top left corner of the screen where you can set up different user profiles for different drivers of the same car. Next, in the top right corner, we have a notification area. Here you'll find different notifications or alerts from the car. Next, in the middle of the screen, we have a search icon, and from here you can search different settings or menus for quick access. Every time you have to type something on the screen, you can opt to use the handwriting feature instead. And like I mentioned earlier, you'll use the trackpad in the center control stack, and the system will recognize your inputs and read them out right away. And for convenience, you can write down a number of letters at once, and the system will recognize all of them. Next up, media inputs in this car include AM, FM, Bluetooth, USB. There's also Apple CarPlay and Android Auto integration. In the radio menu, we'll find AM and FM inputs. From the phone menu, you can dial numbers or call numbers from the phone book of connected devices. Next, in the media menu is where you'll find Bluetooth and USB inputs. Also note that there are quick action buttons below every menu. For actions you can execute without entering that menu, or you can jump to right after opening that menu. Next, we have the comfort menu. From the comfort menu is where you adjust different aspects of the ambient lighting feature, like the color and brightness. You can also set the ambient lights to light up upon unlocking the car, or adjust according to the climate temperature set in that zone. And as you change the color in the infotainment screen, the lights change instantly as well. Also, as you change the brightness of the ambient lights, you can set different brightness levels for the front and rear occupants. Next, we have an info menu. In the info menu, you'll find detailed information about the car, like fuel consumption and engine load, which shows in real time how much torque and power the engine is producing. In the vehicle tab, we'll find information about how much the brake or gas pedal are being pressed and how much power is being sent to each axle, as this is a four-wheel drive vehicle, or as Mercedes-Benz call it, 4Matic. In the info menu, we'll also find an owner's manual. Next, in the apps menu, you'll find compatible apps synced from a connected device. Next up, we'll have settings. The first tab in the setting is a quick access tab. And here are three settings. The first one is stowaway protection, and this will sound an alarm when the angle of the car changes. Next, we'll have an interior motion sensor enabler, and this will pop up a visual and audible alert when motion is detected inside the car when it has been locked with the remote key. Next, we'll have DSR or downhill speed regulation, and this lets you lift the foot off the brake and the car will use engine braking to slow down when going downhill. Next, we have assistant setting tab. From here you can set up different aspects of the parking sensors by adjusting the warning tone, volume or pitch. You can also open up the backup camera cover because it's hidden until you shift into reverse. Next, we have attention assist feature, and from here you can adjust the sensitivity of the feature. Next, we move on to the vehicle settings tab. First, we have the dynamic select feature, and this allows you to configure the individual driving mode that we'll talk about later in the video. Next, you can set the speed limit for when you have winter tires on. You can also configure how you want the car to be locked, for example with acoustic lock or alarm, and whether or not you want the side mirrors to fold in automatically upon locking the car. Next, we'll have light settings tab. Here you get the same ambient light controls. You can also set how long you want the exterior lights to remain on after locking the car, or turn off the feature that enables the light to turn on after unlocking the car. Next, we have the system settings tab, and here is where you adjust display settings like the brightness or turn off the display. You can also choose between day and nighttime viewing mode. Next, we have control settings, and this allows you to configure the keyboard, handwriting and the touchpad. There are also Lingatronic settings for the in-car assistant. Next, we have the usual audio settings, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth settings. There are also time and date settings as well as language settings. You can also change the units of measurements. There are also over-the-air software updates and system information, which in this car is Mercedes-Benz's own MBUX. Moving on to the climate controls, you click the big menu button in the middle to bring up climate controls in the infotainment screen. We have a 2-zone automatic climate control in this car. The leftmost button adjusts the temperature on the driver's side. Next we have a button for the air direction. Then there's a button for the fan speed. We will also have a automatic climate control button. The max button blows out as much air as possible in order to cool down the cabin as fast as possible. On the other side of the menu button we have a rear defroster, a sync button to sync the 2 zones into one, an air direction button, an AC button, and the button to control the temperature on the passenger side. Also note how the ambient lights change as you adjust the temperature. Below that we have menu buttons for the infotainment screen. The button labeled with a star is a favorite menu button, and this can be configured to do just about anything. Then we have a hazard light switch. Further below we have a lid that covers the 2 cup holders and a 12-volt power outlet, as well as a pad to place your phone while driving. Also note that the ambient light continues in the cup holders as well. And this wood trim looks very great on this car. Next we have more controls for the infotainment screen that I showed you earlier. On the left of the trackpad we have a volume scroll wheel. Next there is a power on or off switch for the infotainment screen. And then we have a button for the parking cameras, followed by a traction control off button. To the left of the trackpad we have a dynamic select scroll wheel, and this will cycle through the different drive modes of the vehicle, including comfort, sport, sport plus, individual and eco mode. Next to that wheel we have a button to turn off the parking sensors, and the M button puts the transmission into manual mode. The last button turns on or off the auto start stop feature. Next we have the center console, and in here we'll find ample storage as well as 2 USB-C ports. On the left spoke of the steering wheel we have buttons for the cruise control, and the upper buttons control the multi-information display in the instrument cluster. In this screen we have several menus, and the first and default one is trip, and in here we'll find a digital speed readout as well as trip information and fuel consumption. Other menus mirror what is shown by their counterparts in the main infotainment screen, but with less details. And they include telephone, media, radio, and navigation. Then we have the trip menu that we've already talked about, and next we have the assistance menu, and here you'll find information about the attention assist as well as any driver assistance feature you have equipped in the car. Next we have the service menu, and from here you can set up service reminders for the car. Now I'll demonstrate the voice assistance feature, which you can access by pressing a button on the right spoke of the steering wheel. Turn off the air conditioning.
The air conditioning is switched off.
Hey Mercedes,
How may I help you?
it's hot in here.
Temperature on the driver's side set to minimum.
Behind the steering wheel on the left you have a stock for the windshield wipers. There's also a downshift paddle for when you're driving in manual mode. Behind the steering wheel on the right you have a transmission lever, and to shift into reverse or drive you push it up or down respectively. There's also an upshift paddle for when you're driving in manual mode. In the middle of the buttons on the headliner we have the one to turn on the reading lights in front, and next to that is a button to turn on the reading lights in the rear. Then there is the usual sunglass holder and a speaker behind the reading lights in front. There are 2 sun visors in front, and both have a vanity mirror and an accompanying light as well as an individual Bluetooth microphone. Moving on to the power mirror controls, the first button folds in the mirrors and the rest of the buttons work in conjunction to adjust the mirrors. Let's turn off the ignition, and as you turn off the ignition, the radio will stay on until you open the door. In the back we have heat insulating dark tinted windows. There is also a button for the keyless go entry system on all 4 doors. And like I said earlier in the video, I have ambient lights in the second row of the vehicle as well. There's an armrest integrated in the middle seat of the second row bench and some storage underneath the armrest. And in front we have 2 over-engineered cup holders that unfold as needed. Behind the center console we have 2 air vents, and below that there are 2 USB ports and a 12-volt power outlet. There are individual reading lights on each side, a coat hanger, and a retractable grab handle. Moving on to the trunk area, there are several ways to open the trunk, and first is a button on the key fob that you press and hold and the trunk opens. You can also walk up to the car and place your foot under the bumper and the tailgate will automatically open. There's also a traditional button above the license plate area, and there's another button right on the driver's door panel. Inside we'll find a retractable cargo cover, and there are 2 lights on either side of the vehicle to help with visibility. On the left wall there's a 12-volt power outlet, and there are 2 buttons on either side to fold down the second row seats to instantly increase cargo area. Back here you'll also find an owner's manual and a cargo net and a Mercedes-Benz first aid kit. Under the loading floor we'll find a spare tire with 17-inch steel rims and the tire changing equipment. To close the tailgate you can use a button on the tailgate itself, which you can also use to set the opening height of the tailgate. That's all about the GLC300. Remember, I'll have the GLC300 coupe linked on screen at the end for detailed information. With that said, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and share with your friends. Also subscribe for more great car reviews coming next.